and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Serpent series for race 2 from the High Speed Ring. First time racing here in DGT, and joining us on commentary to look at the standings is Raymond. How are you, Ray?
I'm doing very well. How's yourself?
I'm alright. I'm on the coffee tonight, not the beer, but that's mainly because I've not long woke up.
Come.
I had the nap for 2.5 hours, so.
Wait, when you wake up, you get a beer for coffee.
Nah. Okay, so as we look at the standards here, just want to quickly mention that for this evening's race, unfortunately, we are a little shy on the grid. We were due to have 10 drivers race on the day, but unfortunately Bob unavailable, Connor and Rich unavailable at the last moment. So we do only have 7 on the track, with Steve F1 on pole position. But as always, Ray, I don't think the lack of numbers is going to lose us any action as Art Pal's in second.
Hopefully not. For the SGP, fourth Demon R there. That Richie, his wife's like Miss Trunchable. He can't do anything.
I had to think for a moment then what you Miss Trunchable as from it's
Matilda.
That's the one, yeah, Matilda, yeah. Okay, yeah, there was critical Gary and Jimmy there, by the way. It was 3 lights, 4 lights, and you'll see that it's wet. 5 lights, and away, there you go. The camera position is particularly great there. It does look wet, Ray, but I don't think it's actually raining. It's Gary spinning on the line. We can see that Steve F1 on the indicator at the bottom has got the intermediate tyres on. I would guess all the drivers do in these conditions, Ray.
Yeah, Gary, I don't know how he managed to lose it on the line. There was something I was going to say that went out my head there as well.
Oh, we're nearly 3 wide, heading down to turn 2. SGP trying to go around the outside of Demon R and Art Pal. Now, turn 2 is an interesting corner here. The general racing line is actually taking a nice low line into the corner. But the fast way round it, Ray, as you know, is all the way up at the top, isn't it? A bit like Zandvoort's turn 3.
Yeah, I think you just keep your speed up more there, and then you drive out as Art Pal's found the barrier.
Yep.
We've got a spinner way back on the track map, we can see.
Gary, yeah, Formula Gary. Oh, it's spinning again! But look at what tyres he's on, Ray. He gambled for the racing hearts.
Oh, look at that water meter, it's a wee bit too wet for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Demon R on the back of SGP here. Yeah, for anyone that doesn't know, the 3 indicators that we've got in the bottom left corner, one is the fuel gauge for the drivers, another is the tyre gauge for the drivers, and the other is a wetness gauge, which I think a few of us guys could really do if we're having a fun night with the missus. But Gary here, on racing hard tyres, on track conditions that aren't really suited to it. Do you think the boost would help him with grip here, Ray?
It could, I would say it could a little bit, but look at that, it's nearly half a lap down within the track map, but it's nearly half a lap down.
Yeah.
So it depends if these guys were on lap 2, he's half a lap down. These guys could lap him if the conditions don't get better.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right there. So the indicator that is on the left at the bottom, the wetness gauge, is sort of simple guide of it is there's 3 sections. If it's in the bottom section, you might get away with slicks. You might want inters. In the middle section, you definitely need inters. In the top section, you definitely need full wet tyres. And yes, folks, it can get too wet for the full wet tyres. At the moment, though, as I said, it's not raining. It's Demon R bump drafting SGP. It looks like he's trying to close the gap a bit up to Steve F1 at the front by doing a bit of bump drafting. I'll have to see if it's going to work.
Unless he just wants to beat that ass, so he's still ass, toi.
Maybe, yeah. It's not Renault shaking that ass, it's Stella Artois beating that ass. You know what? I actually do think it has worked for them. They have closed the gap up to Steve F1 a little bit. Yeah, definitely a little bit. Now, another interesting thing for the drivers, you'll see here some of them avoiding apexes, others going for the apexes. We saw Artpal spin early on in this corner. When it does get a little too wet, the racing line becomes very, very slippy, and the drivers could lose control. Just saw Demon R though taking...
Demon R and SGP were side by side, but Demon R maybe not strong enough coming out that corner by taking the apex.
Possibly, yeah. Arpout having a look at making a move on Critical in the background. Yeah, I mean, Demon R did go to the apex on that occasion. I'm just wondering whether it was a bit of a tester to see if the grip is there, because in these wet conditions you don't want to be on the racing line, so you don't want to be braking on it, you don't want to be turning on it. There's Arpout taking a very high line, which isn't a bad idea. Keep the coolness in the tyres. But it's
just going to lose out with slipstream, because nobody's slipstreaming him yet as he hits the barrier. I don't know if there was a little bit of contact there.
I think there was.
Oh no, but look at that, SGP on the back of Steve F1 now, that he's had a wee bit of a break from Demon R.
Aye, absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see if any of them are using the apex here. So, because on the inters there does become a crossover point where the racing line does become grippier than slightly off the racing line. But if you get that transition wrong, it could cost you quite a bit. There's Artpal still all over the back of Critical. Now, regarding the tyres rate, no idea how long the inters will last, but in these conditions, it looks like they could go another 4 laps looking at Artpal's tyre wear.
And he's had a spin as well.
Yeah, I suppose one of the things though, spinning in the wet conditions, it's not going to cause as much damage on the tyres, I would have thought.
Nah, because you're kind of sliding on oils off the track. You're not sliding on the water, because water isn't slippery.
Yeah,
it's the oils.
Yeah, we see 4 in a slipstream there. Artpal sticking out wide for the damper part of the track. SGP's got a run on Steve F1 here. Demon R closing in as well. Artpal all over the back of Critical still. And interestingly, Gary hasn't seemed to have fallen back. Oh, SGP's front left intermediate tyres got quite a bit of wear as Demon R was up in the barrier. I'm wondering if the track's beginning to dry up a bit, Ray, because one of the key features of the track drying up is the intermediates burn out.
Yeah, I don't think SGP's getting another 4 laps in that front right.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know if any of the drivers will see SGP's gone with the apex there.
Yeah, it must be drying. It must be getting there. I'd like to see Gary's tyres, see if they've been ruined by spins. Steve F1 going
he's
from
got
one end to the other side.
Yeah, he's got no front right tyre, that's why. So as he tried to turn, we've got 3 going into the pits. Okay, so it'll be interesting to see what tyres they come back out on. Like you, I wouldn't mind seeing Gary's tyres. SGP's carried on. He's only got a slither left on that front right tyre. That won't last very long.
I think that'll go before the end of the lap.
It's gone already.
Yeah, turn 2 is going to be difficult for him. And Artpal's the same. It's going to go in turn 2.
Yeah. Okay, Critical. I don't think Critical pitted, did he? Okay, so Demon R. No, that's Jimmy, sorry. Jimmy's got a pit lane penalty, 3 seconds. And here's Gary with almost fresh tyres. He hasn't pitted. So Gary's pulled a blinder out the bag. If he can stay on the driving.
So if he's to Steve F1, who was the provisional pole, SJP, Artpal and Critical have still to pit. Jimmy, he's just came out the pits.
Yeah.
He's got a 3-second penalty, so there he's there. Gary could be... No, that's Gary.
That's Demon R on the back of Demon R. I think SGP's just
Demon R on the back of Demon R.
SGP's just been up to the barrier. I think he's heading into the pits now. I think Artpal's got to follow him in. Yeah, he is doing. I mean, okay, Critical's gone. Critical pitted. and he's gone for intermediate tyres, but they're already halfway burnt, Ray.
Yeah, what would you do? Would you keep going, or would you just get in and slap on a set of racing hards?
Difficult to know. Okay, so Demon R has passed Gary. So, okay, Demon R's on intermediate tyres, and he's passed Gary, who's on slick tyres. So the Inter is kind of the right tyre for the current condition, but they are burning out quick as there's Arpal coming out of the pits as Steve F1 makes a move on Jimmy. So I think it is kind of intermediate tyre, but I think it's drying too quick. So one more lap might not be too bad, but I think both Critical and Demon R are going to be pitted. Steve F1 put the racing hards on. So we've had a different selection of tyres here, and I really don't think it's going to have worked for Critical and Demon R. So although Critical is now net leader, he's going to have to come back into the pits at the end of this lap.
Yeah. SGP's pitted, didn't he? So
Yeah.
he came out ahead of Demon R, so he jumped Demon R in the pit stops as well. Because Demon R was ahead.
No, Demon R was behind
sure?
when he pitted. Yeah.
Right.
Although it looks like Demon R here is trying to hunt for some damp patches, but the track in certain areas has really dried up. Steve F1 trying the high line around the final corner, didn't quite work on the slicks. On the Inters for Demon R it did work, but it looks like, yeah, he's diving into the pits. Critical's got on for another lap. He hasn't got the tyres though. Oh dear.
Yeah, it's a lap too many, so it is.
Yeah, I think if he'd have pitted now, it'd have been alright. But unfortunately, he's going to get down to turn 2. It already is the steering for him. He's going to get down to turn 2 and he's going to have no grip. We can really see a dry line appearing now, can't we? There isn't even any water being kicked up by the tyres.
No. Only turn 1 there was water up at the top end. It seemed Critical, but now it's not.
Yeah. I mean, I think the only... Oh yeah, SGP up the inside, Critical's a St. Ducky. I think the only saving grace in a way for Critical here is he's not got a load of fuel in, so he would have to pit within a few laps anyway for fuel, but he is just, look at the time he's losing. He has got no grip. He'll do well to get around the next 2 corners without hitting a barrier. He's got Formula Gary, who, let's remind you, hasn't pitted yet, making the move along with Arpal. It's pretty much dry around here, apart from the curb where Arpal was, and it's a bit damp up the top. This is painful for Critical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, someone went up high. It's Arpal. Oh, sorry.
I thought he was going to lose the back end there.
Yeah.
So, Steve F1 bum drafting Gary past Arpal.
Yep.
I take it they didn't want to bum him because he went up high, had that moment, and I think he was a few mile an hour slower, so they bump him and they're going to make that gap towards SGP bigger.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it would have been nice for Arpal to get bumped, but the car that bumped him would have ended up going backwards. Okay, turn 2, Steve F1 into the barrier. I was about to say, turn 2, it'd be interesting to see which part of that corner is drying, because as I mentioned earlier, the general racing line is to sort of take a normal apex. However, the fastest way around the corner is up high, same as the final corner. But it would appear that up high is still wet, Ray, which means these guys can't go up there yet. And I don't think they've really been practicing not going up high around some of these corners. See, SGP, yeah, see, he's not going up high, he's kind of middle of the road. Steve F1's up high. Can he hold on? He can just.
I think, is it going to have the drive compared to Arpal? Is Arpal because of the lower grippier section? I think Steve F1's got the better drive.
He has, but it might work for Steve to bump draft Arpal. We saw Demon R and SGP do that earlier on to catch up to Steve F1, and it worked. And Steve F1, I mean, he's not close enough to actually bump draft him. Gary's closing in though.
Steve F1's got a lot of fuel on board compared to everybody else, so that might be hurting him as well.
Could be down the straights. Is Gary having a little look? Gary's definitely sticking to that dry line down. You can just see the wet line up around the top. No one able to use that at the moment. Gary's going to be getting into a territory he's not used to in a moment. He's got wear on his tyres and he's going to have to pit. I mean, considering though that in all of the practice, sort of 6 laps was about the maximum you get out of the dry tyre. Gary's done really well to get to lap 10. Admittedly, he did 6 laps in the wet on dry tyres, but it's working for him. Or it's worked for him, I should say. Yeah, SGP testing out that high, like you can see, it's kicking up a bit of water. Okay, so it's usable, but at the far end, about there where Arpal is, it is still a little bit damp, so they're able to use a little bit more of the road each time around.
Yeah, so it's kind of a wee train here from Arpal, Steve F1, Gary and Jimmy at the minute. Demon Oz. Is that that's not Demon Oz?
No, it's Jimmy at the back.
Jimmy.
Steve
Demon
F1
quite
is,
a bit.
yeah, Steve F1 is bump drafting Arpal, at least was down the fast bit. Well, I suppose for Demon R and Critical, they're down at the back now because they had to pit again, didn't they? They went with the intermediate tyres and they're still sort of trying to recover from that. Demon R's not too far away, he's heading into turn 2 now. Critical is a little bit further back, but as a reminder, we do have the boost, folks. So basically 4th down here will get boost, but having said that, Gary here will not be getting boosted, neither will Jimmy, because Gary is too close to Steve F1 to receive that boost. So yeah, that's just something to bear in mind. SGP is low on fuel, he's got plenty of tyre left, could do a couple more laps, but he hasn't got the juice to do it.
Yeah, he's going to be on the pits, a splash and dash, maybe in a set of tyres.
Okay, so Arpal carries on, so does Steve F1 and Jimmy, and formerly Gary's into the pits. He was out of fuel, near enough, so into the pits he goes. Now, interestingly, Ray, there's about 20 laps left in this race, and I do believe I said a moment ago you can get 5 to 6 laps out of the out of the hard tyre, which means for SGP that running out of fuel has kind of happened right on schedule to do 5 lap stints to the end.
Yeah, and Gary could probably follow SGP's, what do you call it, pit strategy, and hopefully bring them closer up to the front here.
Quite possible. We've got Demon R making a move on Jimmy. Demon R's tyres taking a bit of a pounding so far. I'm surprised.
SGP's out the pits already. Gary's filling.
Yeah,
so
I
Gary's filling, where I think he should have just done 5 laps worth of fuel. How long your tyres are going to last you? Do that with the fuel. Keeps your car light and.
Have you got? Did you have a drink?
No.
Oh.
I'd finished.
Oh, right, fair enough. It's alright. It was like you'd stopped halfway through. Okay, Arpal into the pit. Steve F1 continue. Steve F1 has continued on, but he's got no front right tyre. Okay.
You might just need a wee splash of fuel for 5 laps.
Yeah, well, as you said earlier, Steve F1 filled his tank earlier. He's going to suffer on this lap. Demon R's filled his tank at some point as well. I do think you're right in, like, it's a good idea to just fill up to the length of stint you're going to do, unless it rains. Like, if it was to start raining now, then I would recommend to the drivers to fill the tank up, because you've no idea how long it is going to rain for, and you don't know how long the intermediate tyres would last if it did rain, or the wets would last. So
well, that's if they were on intermediates, but if they're on the hards, I wouldn't be filling them until the rain comes and you switch tyres.
But having said that, as we've got Arpal who's filled his tank, there is a benefit to filling the tank in some scenarios. So for Arpal here, and for Formula Gary, they've filled the tank, which has cost them a load of time, but they've come out in a position where they'll get plenty of boost. As Steve F1 suffering on that front right tyre, Demon R catching up to him. Steve F1's
Demon R's tyres as well.
Yeah, they're both into the pits then. But yeah, so a little bit like for Steve F1 and Demon R now, if they were to fill up the tank now, they would get a big benefit from the boost, which means that they could have a much faster pit stop a little bit later in the race, because they wouldn't need to necessarily put any fuel in. So yeah, I think it all depends on the situation of the race. But normally, yeah, it's not advisable to run around with half a tank of fuel that you're just carrying. But if you can carry it while getting the boost, it might work all right. For Demon R though, it isn't going to work. He hasn't filled up. Okay, so Demon R only topped up a little bit to get him the 5 laps. He's out in 3rd place. So this is where if he had filled his tank and was in 3rd, the boost wouldn't have helped. Whereas Steve F1, he's filled his tank, so is Gary, but these guys are going to get the boost now, so carrying the extra weight isn't going to be a punishment for them.
Yeah, and Critical went an hour lap long on his tyres, the full red there, so
Yeah.
he's going to start suffering at the end of the lap here.
Did it? I didn't. Was he on full red tyres still? I didn't see. I was having a drink. Okay. So SGP round the final corner, still not using the complete high line around there, which I would guess it's still. Oh yeah, he is front right tyre, looking a little bit damaged. But yeah, I was going to say, I think it's still a little bit damp at the top. Okay, for Critical then, he's going to come out on lap 15. Yeah, he's going to have to pit a few more times. Everybody is, to be fair. Okay, so Demon R then, with his short stop, he's got himself up into a net 2nd, but the gap between himself and SGP is about 10 seconds at the moment. But SGP's got to pit again soon. Demon R doesn't have to pit yet, so it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. For R-Pal, he's going to have Gary closing in on him rather rapidly. Demon R using the high line around turn 2 now, so that would suggest the group is coming in there. I wouldn't mind seeing R-Pal at the moment though, Ray, to see how Gary is doing right behind him.
Yeah, they've got I think it's R-Pal, Gary and Steve F1 just here they are.
Yep.
A little
Right
train going.
Choo choo!
So we got. Yep, Gary's got an hour lap, I would say, before pitting.
Yeah,
I think there's a bit of a push. We'll sort of find out.
if he pushes too hard around this corner, then yeah. Okay, so Steve F1, as I mentioned, with that full tank of fuel, using the boost to his benefit, Gary heading into the pits. So Steve F1 filling his tank hasn't really lost anything to R-Pal. I don't know if R-Pal filled his tank or not. I don't think he did. I could be very wrong though. So things get a little bit spread out as we reach the halfway mark. The sun coming out more and more, the track drying up more and more. But here's a question for you, Ray, and it's not a joke either. Would these hard tyres wear more in these conditions compared to hot conditions?
With the wear in these conditions, well, it's a dry racetrack, so.
Yeah, but I mean, like if it had just been like
was...
a hot sunny day, would the tyres wear more in these conditions where it's still a little greasy?
I think that they would suffer more on a hot day. I think the rubber would be heating up a lot more and going around these long high-speed corners, it's just going to add more to that temperature and burn them up more.
Quite possibly. Okay, SGP into the pits. Demon R's gone into the pits as well. Fuel-wise, didn't need to, so I'm wondering if it's strategic on the laps, as R-Pal did fill up last time he stopped and carries on. Steve F1 following him. Okay, so it'd be interesting to see what Demon R and SGP do regarding their fuel stops on this occasion. As R-Pal still taking that really high line, SGP on his way out. Demon R's jumped him!
Yeah, the Demon R done 3% less than the SGP.
Yeah, but also, because Demon R had filled up... No, he didn't fill up last time, did he? I think Demon R's just done a short stint and pitted at the same time as SGP to get him back on strategy, but with a much shorter fuel stop. Has put him now side by side as SGP making the move into 2, but Demon R's already tried that outside line around 2 and the grip is there. and he makes the move, and that's why turn 2, the high line, is the faster line when the grip is there. As you said, Ray, you just carry the speed all the way through it.
Yeah, and now they're kind of near enough on the apexes, so yeah, they're on the apexes, so the track must be really dry. I see the last corner, they're using the full high line, or they still divoting in a wee bit at the middle.
Artpal did go full high line on the pack cam. SGP's pretty much full high line. Yeah, it's dry up there now, isn't it? SGP's going to have a decent run here. I can't imagine he's going to do much bump drafting here. He may be wondering what the bloody hell has just happened, though, because he had a 10-second lead, and without boots, Demon R has ended up side by side with him. SGP makes the move into first place. Two very different lines being used here. But interestingly, taking the tight line around turn 1, it does scrub the tyres more. It can be quicker, but it does scrub the tyres more. So both of them using the high line around turn 2. And yeah, here we go then. Battle on. And just ahead is Critical, who pitted a few laps ago. So yeah, race on here, Ray.
Yeah, no, they must be setting purple sectors because it just flashed up on SGP a purple sector and Demon are right there with them, so as long as they don't get too much of a battle, as Billy's a wee bit slow. Critical, sorry.
Critical, yeah. I think his tyres are struggling as SGP and Demon R looking at going round the outside. Artpal into
Oh, no, he's still going,
Oh, yeah. Okay,
is
Steve.
he doing that one stop too long? Artpal's in the pits, so now Steve F1 takes pole.
Yeah, well, interestingly, Artpal filled up last time. I don't know if he's going to fill up again. Demon R still... I mean, interestingly, Demon R's bump drafted SGP all the way down the straight. Probably to try and break away from Critical here. He's going to have a go into 2. No, admittedly, the inside line here is not really the best way to try and overtake because the outside line is just so much faster. I didn't see how much fuel Artpal put in. See, Artpal pitted that. If he's filled his tank up again, then he wouldn't necessarily need to fill up, put any more fuel into the end of the race. So that could be quite interesting. And it could be interesting, Ray, as to what these two do, because they're on the same fuel strategy now, pretty much. And I reckon they're going to have two more stops.
Well, lap, what, 25, 26?
Yeah.
No, is it? 19? No. Well, maybe I didn't see the tyres. Steve F1's pitting.
Yeah. Now, Steve F1's
yeah, they've got to pit, isn't it? Because it's 5 laps. They've been out for a couple of laps. Yeah, they're going to be pitting soon.
Yeah, definitely. SGP's front right has already gone down. Demon R's has gone down a little bit less. So yeah, they're going to be pitted again soon. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with their fuel. Steve F1 critical in the pits. Be interested to see if Steve F1 fills up again. So this is where, like, if you fill up now, you don't have to refuel at the next stop. So for the likes of Steve F1, filling up's not a bad idea because, as I said, he'll get that bonus boost. It'll be interesting to see what these two, though, because SGP's already seen that Demon R has jumped him in the pits, now up his arse. But I don't think there'll be any jumping at the next round of pit stops because they've both got to put at least 5 laps worth of fuel in, haven't they?
Yeah, and Steve F1's the only one, because he filled up the last time, he's still going to have half a tank. So if he fills up that half a tank, that's going to give him a full tank, and that should last him to then. Yeah. I can't remember off the top of my head of how long the tank lasts.
Full tank is about 11 laps, so yeah, it's possible. Okay, Demon R and SGP, yeah, fully using the high line there. SGP, he ain't going in the pits, is he? Nah, he's doing his dummy. Tyre-wise, though, yeah, maybe 2 more laps if they're lucky. The second lap. I wonder what you were looking at.
Artpal took the high line and Jimmy was a wee bit kind of middle of the road, but his tyres were a bit short, so he kind of slid up a wee bit as we see Demon R side by side. Is SGP going to hold it round the outside? Oh, he's went a bit high.
Yeah. I think he may have had to lift out of that a little bit mid-corner, but does get back ahead for the moment. DMR doesn't go push. This is one of those situations where, because of how much wear they've got on the tyres, I mean, that might be why SGP went a little bit high. The amount of wear they got, they can't really push it into the corners, and I can fully understand Jimmy in that final corner. If his front right tyre was suffering a little bit, you try and leave the space, and it's so easy to just understeer up the road as these two still side by side. But I think they've both got a pit now for fuel, even if they did have tyres.
Yeah, but Demon are taking that defensive line in the bottom. SGP, he's going to have nowhere to go because it's a pit lane.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
he doesn't want to risk a 3-second pit penalty.
The other thing as well, I don't know if you noticed, but SGP had to knock it down a gear mid-corner as he was starting to ride up high with that front right tyre, not giving him any grip. Okay, keep an eye on those fuel levels in the top left corner if you could, Ray. We'll see what happens there. As Art Powell coming down the start-finish, leading the race. He's got a bit under half a tank. He's got half a tyre as well. Gary's got no front right tyre. Gary could have pitted at this point, I think, and done one more stop to the end. Steve F1 now crossing the start-finish line. Got quite a bit of tyre. He got one more stop to do, and probably won't need to refuel either.
Half a tank for Demon R. Looks like SGP's gone full tank.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so we'll see which of your strategies works out, Ray. Just put 5 laps worth in or fill it up.
He's not filled up. He's only went to 92%.
Maybe
he's not filled up.
Well, there's only 9 laps to go, isn't there? 10 laps. 10 laps, yeah. So he's 92% would probably get him to the end if it's 11 laps on a full tank.
We'll soon find out.
That we will. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not filled it, but I would guess it is enough. I mean, it'd be interesting. I mean, he's now down. I mean, he's a long way back from Demon R. A very long way back from Demon R. As Art Powell leading the race, coming around the final corner, carries on. Gary's got to go to the pits. Go on, Gary, get in there. Stick another set of tyres on. I think he'll need to pit again, though.
He'll need that splash of fuel as well.
That he will. Okay.
Leave F1, he's got. Is that enough fuel to the end? But he'll need tyres.
It should be enough fuel, or maybe just a little splash at the next. Oh no, it should be enough. It should be enough. He's definitely going to need another set of tyres, though. The question is, will he pit with 6 laps to go or 5 laps to go? As Demon R closing in rapidly on the back of these two with fresh tyres and a lighter fuel load than Steve F1. Steve F1 still using the low line. Oh
yeah. Critical was a wee bit wobbly in there, but yeah. That's interesting that Steve F1 isn't using the high line.
Yeah.
Critical going out to the outside and then trying to swoop it into the apex and then back out. Oh, he's went a wee bit deep there.
Yeah, he's not quite got the grip on the front end,
I think his tyre's gone.
I think you might be a little bit right there. Demon R's not quite got past at the moment. And this is a tricky situation. Right, if you've got a car in front of you that's got worn tyres and they might be going to the pitch, do you go around the outside because they might want to steer up? Do you go down the inside because they might want to pitch?
Is Demon R just blocked Critical for getting the pits?
He might have done, unless Critical wasn't planning on going for the pits, but Demon R has snuck through. We can see SGP in the background
because we can see he's struggling in the corner. So, Demon R's took the place over Steve F1.
Yeah, that he has. Art Powell still leading this race, and SGP with the boost. Critical, yeah, he's got a slither. He may have wanted the pits there. Steve F1
and he might not know compared to what we know. Ben, yeah, he should have went in the pits back there. He might not know that with the new physics in that, they changed the tyre where when it hits red, you have no grip compared to what it used to be. You could keep going and keep going.
Just want to mention as well, the viewers can't see this, but on our indicators on the screen that we see, it looks like Critical might have stability management on. or it's got an assist on that you might want to check if he wants on or not. It's not traction control, and it is it's stability management. Art Pal in two.
Pal into pits. Yeah, as I was saying, that Pal into pits. Billy's going into Critical's going into pits.
I think Steve F1 has just started a lap with no front right tyre. And I think he's done it because he pitting now and getting to the end, very, very, very difficult on the tyres. I do think Steve F1
he's gonna drop back.
No front right tyre.
He's second place. He's got no boost.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna. SGP's gonna be on him pretty soon. I reckon.
Thing is, he's taking pain now though, which is going to hurt, but it's less painful. If he'd have pitted just then, he would definitely have to pit again. If he gets to the end of this lap, he probably doesn't have to pit again. So it's kind of like, okay, take pain now for it's the
SGP might pit this lap.
Well, maybe, yeah. Like I said, 6 laps is about the maximum you could do on the tyres. You would enter this final corner with a slither. So imagine SGP doing another lap now. He wouldn't have more. Steve F1 he's got no tyre.
Jumping Steve F1 before the pits, and yeah.
Okay, so
I think that was the right move for SGP to do in that situation there.
Yeah, otherwise
so
Steve F1
SGP doesn't have to put any fuel in.
No, that is
so
true.
He should be good. Who are we on? Demon R, he's going to have to put half a tank in.
Well, no, not half a tank.
About half a tank.
Get up to half a tank, yeah. He's going to need a little bit of fuel in. Art Powell has got enough fuel to get to the end, and it is net leader. Excuse me.
It's tyres. He's already got a bit of redness on him.
Well, that's the thing. He pitted 1 or 2
Look
laps
at the
ago.
gap. SGP's got in Steve F1 and then pits. I think Steve F1 had to put some fuel in.
Quite possibly, yeah. I think you might be absolutely right. So Gary coming out of the pits behind Critical. I don't know if Critical and Art Pal are going to get to the end pitting when they have done. Gary's got a chance. It depends if you can look after the tyres. Demon R's low on tyre. This one I was on about with the sliver on the final sort of corner. No fuel in the car, just about, so timed to perfection. But let's not forget that SGP hasn't had to put any fuel in, and Demon R now has to put half a tank of fuel in. We saw a switch of them earlier on. Demon R.
SGP, is he getting? He must be getting a wee bit of boost.
He will
is
be,
it
yeah.
The last car to get boost? So this could help him out. Where's Demon R? He's just started filling.
Okay, so it looks like SGP filling the tank earlier and having a shorter stop now. The way the boost and using the boost to his benefit has really helped. Or has it just status quo'd and put the gap that SGP and Demon R had back in place? I think it was about 10 seconds between them before Demon R short filled. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens towards the end. Demon R on Jimmy here, as Art Powell still in the lead. Can he make his tyres last to the end?
Demon R's going to be having to use that lower line compared to Jimmy's doing try to do a switchback, but Demon R's just able to open that corner up a wee bit more and use more of the high line there.
Now, interestingly as well, with the boost, Demon R will be getting boost. So will Jimmy, Critical and Gary. So at this point, it is possible that Demon R and the pack could catch the front 3 here. Art Powell, SGP and Steve F1. Because they'll get about 5-6 seconds lap word. No, they won't! Steve F1's pitting. I want to swear, but I won't. Okay, so Steve F1's pitted. He's got the fuel. I can only guess that he doesn't think the tyres would necessarily get to the end. And if he was hang on a second, hang on, SGP all over Art Powell making the move down into turn 2. Makes that move. He'll take the low line. A little wobble in the middle of the corner. Arpal coming back at him though, but SGP will have the inside line for the start of these S's. He'll be glad it's not wet down there. Arpal, oh, he was ahead for a bit, but SGP in front. Sorry to cut you off there, Ray. Go on, what was you going to say?
Did Steve F1 not do a lap of pain so the tyres would get to the end?
Yes, he did. But if he was thinking exactly what I was just thinking, Demon R in 4th place with that boost will catch him up in 2 laps. By pitting, that stops Demon R from catching the front 2.
Please give the win to Steve Flens.
Well, to a degree, yeah. Yes and no. What he's done, he's kind of sort of gone, okay, I'm not racing SGP and Arpal here. I'm going to stop Demon R from catching me. And instead, I'm going to hunt him down. And we'll have to wait and see if it works, because the only way this really works is if Steve F1 ends up ahead of Demon R. Okay, so, but it does mean that Demon R doesn't get to catch Arpal and SGP and have a chance of fighting for the win. So it's a very tactical move from Steve F1. And I do like it. I do like it. It's a good move. Especially if he felt that he wasn't going to be able to do anything against the 2 ahead on the tyres that he'd got. So yeah, very strategic from Steve F1. Let's see if it's going to work. This battle though, we've got Critical and Jimmy, sort of nose to tail. Gary closing back in. I don't think anybody else should need to pit unless they've got the strategy a bit wrong, and if they have, get in the pits now. But from the looks of it, they should be alright. Oh, Jimmy having a little
Jimmy
look.
sneaking in there. There was a bit of a gap, so sticking his nose in there, I'd have done the same.
If you no longer go for a gap, you'll no longer have more children. Jimmy having a look up the inside. Gary round the outside. What a move! Oh,
is he getting the 2? Is he getting the 2?
He might do. He's got a run on Critical, but he may benefit more by bumpcrafting him. I mean, this is actually helping Demon R a little bit in terms of he's not getting attacked. Jimmy having a look up the inside. It's the faster way in. Don't really have to worry about the tyres too much at the moment. Just so you know, SGP is pulling away from Arpal. Critical's closed in on the back of Demon R.
Yeah, I try to see. Oh, Gary going for that low line, which going to be slow. Jimmy's doing the same. Oh, 3 wide. I think the Critical Gary's tyres.
Yeah,
he's not getting to net.
Yeah, he's going to struggle.
Yeah, he's going to going round the outside there. Might be a thingy, and there's Steve F1 on the back of them.
Yeah, so Steve F1, this is what he was gambling on, being able to catch up to the pack and catch up to Demon R. I think Critical's tyres might be struggling as well. He had a bit of pain in turn 2, got up too high. Gary's tyres are struggling. Critical running a bit high. Gary running high as well, squeezing Steve F1 into the barrier. Oh, and he's into the barrier. Obviously not intentional by Gary. The front tyre is pretty much gone for him. But, I mean, if he pits now, he's guaranteed last place. So I can understand him trying to keep going, but he's going to have to be careful. Steve F1 then, trying to make the move on Critical.
He's got the tyres to do it. He can just push and push.
And breathe.
Now, is that cost Steve F1? He's going to be on this low line here. Unless he can get past Gary, but no, Gary's still there.
Oh no, Gary not having the grip to get it slowed down, and collects Jimmy up there as well. That does now put Steve F1 on the back of Demon R, but there's a bit of a gap between them. We are on the last lap of the race, and looking at the pack gap, the gap between SGP and Arpal is coming down, but I wouldn't be surprised if that is just SGP cruising to look after the tyre, because Arpal's done a longer stint. Yeah, he's got no front right tyre left, so he's not going to be pushing it. He'll just be managing that gap as we keep an eye on the pack cam for Steve F1 closing in on Demon R. But SGP going to come around the final corner at the high speed ring, going low speed, and just making sure he gets on the straight, and away he goes. It's going to be victory then for SGP. Critical battling with Jimmy in the background. Arpal done extremely well to get second place there. Demon R holds on to third. Steve F1 fourth. Jimmy fifth. Critical sixth. And Formula Gary, unfortunately, had better tyres in the wet at the start than he did in the dry at the end.
Yeah. Even, well, the pit stops and that, look how close it was. It
At the
wasn't.
end. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like they were all still within half the start finish straight. It wasn't as if everybody was spread massively out.
And not only that, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned that, because some people might think, why the bloody hell would Steve F1 have pitted as late as he did? Had Steve F1 stayed out, Demon R, Gary, Critical, and Jimmy would have caught up to the front three. I believe that's a pretty much certainty, because I think there was about 9 seconds between first and fourth, and they gain about 5 seconds a lap with a boost. So a couple of laps they'd have been on the back of Steve F1, and that would have made it even tighter. But it does kind of explain why at that point Steve F1 is quickly made a decision of, okay, I can either have the last lap with a front right tyre like SGP had at the end, or I can have a much fresher tyre. So either way, he was well, if he stays out, he comes under pressure from Demon R in the pack. If he pits, he then puts the pressure on Demon R in the pack and stops the likes of Demon R in the pack catching the front two. So yeah, very, very strategic. But I've got to say though, extremely well done to SGP there. The strategy of his fuel stop really worked, because I mean, it's interesting that, like you said, don't bother filling up the tank. And in a normal race situation, 100% agree. But when you've got the boost in there, if you know you can use the boost to your benefit, filling up the tank can work, just like it did. So Demon R filled up his tank earlier on, did a short stop, catches up to SGP. SGP fills up his tank and doesn't have to fuel on the next stop, and opens that gap up again. So yeah, very clever strat. I will be honest, in the pits, as we're filling up and I've hit, right, okay, stop fueling, go, and I see that SGP's still in the pits, I knew straight away. I was like, shit, he's got me. He's got me. Because I knew at the next round of pit stops, he's going to get a 10-second advantage on me easily. Get the 10 seconds back easily. And it was a good move. That was definitely a good time to fill the tank. Artpal did brilliantly though to get those tyres. I think it was 7 laps, I think, at the end there. So obviously he was helped by Steve F1 pitting as well, but he's done extremely well to stay as close to SGP as he did.
Is that his highest in a gold star situation finish, or is he won?
He's won a race.
Has he?
Yeah.
I didn't know he'd won a race.
But apparently, according to Rich has won. Oh no, Rich has got more poles. That's what he says. I think Artpal's won a race. So I find out he hasn't. Sorry. No, I think he has. I think I can't remember. He might. It's not out.
That's alright. We'll know once this video's been posted, because he'll be straight on it. I use bastards. I have won a race.
Absolutely. Okay, just to let you know, we may have an issue with the audio.
Oh no.
Well, it's been recording, but the clock on the recording has stopped. It still says that it's recording, so I'm going to keep going. I'll be pissed if it's errored. I'll tell you what. I'm going to stop the recording on it, and we'll find out.
Check.
Okay, as long as the audio hasn't fucked up, this will be a continuation. I've just checked, and so I'd quickly explain what happened. I just looked over and saw that the recording time was 34 minutes, and considering the race was like 40 minutes long, I knew that wasn't correct, but I think the clock just stopped, but it would appear to have continued recording. But I won't find out until I go to edit it, which will be before you hear this bit. Anything else you want to mention about that race there, Ray?
Yeah, it was...
Gary. Right.
His choice of tyres at the beginning was questionable, but 12 laps he got out of them and without stopping, and Would he? Yeah, he would have still been. If he was on the intermediates, he would have still been
I mean,
within the pack and whatnot. So,
one way to look at it would be that he didn't lose anything really,
no.
apart from a few.
He
spins.
did, but he did kind of fucked up. But it's a fuck up that was. It didn't hamper him in a way.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, so for anyone that doesn't know, the way the sessions work is whatever the weather is for qualifying is what the start of the weather is for the race. So although none of us know what the weather will be, when qualifying starts, we do get an idea of, okay, is it wet or dry? Is there going to be rain in the first 10 minutes or not? So we get an insight into the first 10 minutes. And in the 10-minute qualifying session, Gary did go out on hard tyres, on the slick tyres, and drove around. And he had a few spins. But I think what happened was, part way into that qualifying session, as others are going, okay, it might be time for hards now, Gary's already driving round on a set of hard tyres that had pretty much taken no punishment. They were just cold. So Gary, having had that insight, goes into the start of the race thinking, well, you know what, I could just start on the racing hard tyre and then I probably won't have to pit. Which, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it in real life.
I think it was a fluke.
Well, yeah. But this thing, if he'd have done it in real life, he'd be dead. By the before the first corner, because he did. I mean, this thing. When I realised he was on the slick tyres, I did like, well, good luck, but you're going to spin at the start because starting on slicks in the wet, so the standing start, you're spinning. But to be fair, he stuck with it. He done really well. It's just a shame he didn't have a bit of tyre life at the end of the race, as I said.
I wonder if he. I don't know if he did it, but if he turned down his engine, would that could have helped him as well?
Yes.
So whether he did or didn't is we won't know until he watches this part, or if he switched off by this part and makes a comment. But
well, I do believe Jimmy was running with his engine in lean for a while. I mean, in all fairness, in the wet conditions, the wet conditions we had in this race, it was damp. It was very wet actually at the start, but there wasn't any rain. So it was like the weather had already happened. Whereas if it was really, really heavy rain, it can benefit you massively to turn your engine down a bit. Not for saving the fuel, but to stop you from getting too much wheel spin. It really can benefit you. It can hurt you on the straight, but it can benefit you on the exit.
You get the boys flying by.
Yep, po coming by.
They're coming for the pies.
Snip it that bit, yeah. Mate, I'm gonna make that a ringtone. Po coming by. As soon as I said that, all I could picture is American Pie with an apple pie.
Well, cool.
Okay, quickly mention about the next track. Actually, sorry, no, something I will mention. If there have been any reports and any penalties to be added, it won't be added to this week's race video. It will be added to next week's race video, because I need to get this edited before the deadline for the reports. Okay, next track. It's an interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting one. So, question for you then, Ray. We have just done a track, not many corners, and the tyres lasting 5 laps, 6 laps at best. How do you think they're going to do at Suzuka?
Well, they're going to be burnt in a lap or two. Especially with that first vector. And then in Suzuka, but it's known for its rain.
That is the noise for you're wrong. Like you, I thought they're gonna die. But after the race, a 3
Done
lap.
3
We
laps.
do 3 laps.
Mm-hmm.
And
You got the 3 laps and they were fine.
got 3 laps and they were fine. Could probably do 3 more. Could probably do 4 more. Might even get 5 more.
Possibly 10 laps.
I don't think
Well,
he'll
now,
be. I don't think he'll be a 10-lap stint. But the tyres over 3 laps had about a third wear. So 3, maybe, yeah. I mean, do I think it's going to be fast on like lap 8 and 9? No. I think it'd probably be around about 7 or 8. But like you, I thought they would burn up way more than here. But as your brain is ticking over, perhaps trying to wonder why, you may come to the conclusion as to why. If you don't know, I can give you an idea.
It's either the climate or the track.
It's the style of track. So, for example, let's take the tyres from this race today. The front left, rear right tyres were fine. The front right died. So much wear on it, it's unbelievable. Now
The high speed, it's because it's a wee bit slower, the high speeds and the long corners.
That's part of it, and the other part is take all the wear that was on that front right tyre, split it in half, and put it on both front tyres.
Yeah.
You got a much more balanced rate of wear, which then results in more grip on it. So yeah, we were all surprised that it didn't kill the tyres. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you go driving it like a madman, you're going to kill the tyres. But it was very, very nice actually through the first sector.
Nice.
Yeah.
With it being Suzuka, known to rain, or
Wow.
random weather.
It doesn't rain in Suzuka. It fucking rains in Suzuka.
And she's down.
Oh, that it does. Okay, a quick mention about the low numbers this week. Obviously, we mentioned last week that there might be low numbers this week, and I got the description of the ruling wrong. It's if we know there's less than 10. By Wednesday midnight, as far as we're aware, we were having 10 drivers. Unfortunately, Rich and Conrad last minute not able to make it. So the race goes ahead anyway. Bob unable to make it as well. Didn't let us know, Bob. You let us know last week.
Yeah.
What happened?
He let us know that he wasn't making it when we were on fucking holiday.
Yeah, exactly. That's still the best. Getting the message, you're going, hi guys, I'm online. Where's the lobby? Well, it's on holiday, mate. But yeah, so.
Or I won't make it. I won't make it this Thursday.
Yeah.
That's okay. We're still on holiday, Bob.
Yeah. So yeah, but also Twilight on holiday with the new missus. The new Mrs. Twilight. Yeah. Nelly gone to Tunisia. Personally, I think the tuna here is fine. And Jason did let us know that he was unavailable this week. I think he might have gone for a race weekend. I don't know for certain. But yeah, Jason unavailable. So we should next week have Twilight back, Nelly back, Rich Blues and Conrad
Nelly,
back.
no.
No.
No, he's the 2 week.
Are you sure? Because he said he'd see you. He said he would see us in 2 weeks. I could be wrong.
No, that's only.
We'll check the messages. But I thought he'd said I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Also, I'm not online for today and next Thursday. So too.
Okay, so we won't.
And also the drivers that haven't watched the important announcement video and message the page, you'd better get your say in, because you don't get your say in, you can't complain if something happens and it's on a day that...
You try telling the missus you didn't have your say when you could have done, so you can't complain now. You try saying that.
What do you mean?
Well, it was making a bit of a joke about... Okay, you said if you don't have your say now, you can't complain when a decision's made. You translate that situation to a conversation with the missus, that reasoning's not going to fly, is it? It doesn't matter what I said before. This is what I'm saying now. Yeah. Right. Okay, I've not had any jokes this week. Come on, Ray. Last week you said you had loads, so come on then, fire them at me.
I can't remember what ones I done last week.
You only did one.
What one was that?
I can't remember.
I've not really been doing any looking at jokes or anything. I've been busy reading. Because I've not been sleeping.
All right.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh yeah.
Did you know that Gollum was once a normal man?
Well,
but
he was a
normal man.
He wasn't a normal man. He was a hobbit.
Well, right, one of them. But
well, not a hobbit. He was a I was going to say a seaman.
He looks like one now.
He was one of they're not hobbits, the fishermen people. But you're river folk. That's it.
But wearing the ring drained him of his youth, his energy, and his joy in life. Must be the fucking same ring I put on when I'm married.
I don't have to come in yet. Well done, yeah. Yeah, this is where Kirsty looks at you and goes, you fucking what? I dare you to call Kirsty Gollum during sex. Oh, Gollum.
Never know, might already do.
Well, maybe. It's alright, she called you my precious, and when she wears you, she can't find you. Oh dear. Right. Oh god, jeez. My conscience. Okay, right. At that, I think we should probably end this commentary so Ray can go and fix his marriage. Imagine anyone watching this now dares say to their wife about that. Just going up and going, God. Okay. Ray, thank you as always for joining us on the commentary.
No, thank you for having us, and also thank you to the drivers and the admins behind the scenes as well, like SGP and Steve F1. I need to get them on commentary, because never know, it might be the last time.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what does happen going forward. Obviously, we're still up in the air about, we don't know what's happening. That's why we need your responses in, guys. And yeah, we'll keep you updated when we can. Because I know SGP's not a fan of doing commentary, and bear in mind, every time we tried getting him on a live stream for the admin stuff, it took about half an hour to get a semi-decent connection out of him. But yeah. Right. Time to go and confirm, or semi-confirm, the race result and the championship standings. As I mentioned, if there's been any reports and penalties, then they'll get applied next week. Right, see you in a bit, Ray. Bye. Okay, so SGP with a victory, maximum 20 points. Art Pal second place, Demon R third, Steve F1 in fourth, Jimmy in fifth, Critical in sixth, and Formula Gary in 7th. The only driver to not use the intermediate tyre at any point. Well done to you, Gary. Right, let's have a look then at what that has done to the championship standings. So, SGP leading the way now on 37 points, 4 ahead of Steve F1 in second place, who's 3 ahead of Demon R in third. Art Pal only 1 point behind in fourth place. Then we've got a little gap to Jimmy in fifth place on 23 points, and then 5 behind him is Gary in sixth. Another 5 back is Jason in seventh, and then 2 behind him is Critical in 8th place, and I've got the numbers wrong on the left hand side, apologies. So Critical on 11 points, Nelly is in 9th place on 10 points, Rich Blues in 10th on 9 points, and we've got Conrad, Bob, Twilight, all not having scored yet, and SRI won't be scoring any points unless he has a Thursday off from his parenting duties, but we'll keep him on the list anyway so he feels a little bit involved. I think it's only right, isn't it? Okay, as we mentioned, next race is at Suzuka. Very different style of racetrack to what we've been going around today. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens if it does rain there, because as we were talking through this race, in the wet, you don't really want to be on the racing line at any point because it's slippery. The difficulty then, though, is in chicanes when you have to cross the racing line or
on the entries and exits of corners. So the first sector at Suzuka, when that's wet, is going to be extremely difficult because you're going to have to cross the racing line multiple times, and it could get very slippery. But if it stays dry, that won't be an issue. Right, time to bring this one to an end. So thank you for tuning in and listening, and thank you very much, and we'll see you all again soon.